continuation of our topic in general chemistry. We've already done discussing the chemical reaction and how to balance a chemical equation or chemical balancing equation. So this is actually very easy kasi all of the answer or um, all of the answer is in the table itself. So you have to familiarize lang what are those elements that is insoluble and what are those elements that is insoluble. So it is a constant one, factual to. So ibig sabihin it is cannot be change or cannot being replaced kung ano yung nandoon sa table. Meaning to say that kind of element is insoluble and that kind of element is insoluble. So let's now start on knowing the physical state, which is a solid, liquid, and gas, or aqueous. So how to determine the physical state of chemical equation? Answer, by its solubility rules. As I've said in the table, these are the solubility rules on how can you identify or how can you give the differences between the soluble element and insoluble element. Solubility, let's discuss also what is solubility. Solubility is a chemical property referring to the ability for a given substance, the solute, to dissolve in a solvent. I know that you already know what is a solute and a solvent. You can differentiate the two terms. So next, let's also define what is soluble and insoluble. Soluble these are the element that is readily to. Okay, and while insoluble, it is will not dissolve in hydrogen and water or the solid. Okay. So again ulitin natin aside from solubility, we have soluble will readily dissolve in aqueous solution or in water, while insoluble will not dissolve in water. So meaning to say it is a solid. Okay? So now these are the rules or these are the some elements or compounds that is insoluble and in the insoluble. So it is constant, no? So hindi na kayo mahirapan. There is no explanation behind this kasi it's actually a fact. You will literally looking for a certain element if it is soluble or insoluble. Like for example, if the element or the compound itself has nitrates, acetates, ammonium, meaning to say it is a soluble. If it is all chlorides, iodides are soluble, yan. That is a soluble, but except so silver, lead, and mercury. So we also have all fluorides are soluble except with the group 2, lead, iron, and all sulfate are soluble except calcium, strontium, barium, mercury, lead, and silver. So the highlighted one is not is an insoluble, hindi siya soluble. So let's go for the insoluble. All carbonate and phosphate are insoluble except group 1A. So eventually you can differentiate what are those elements that or compound that is soluble and insoluble. So I have here some examples. Like for example, sodium chloride. So from sodium chloride we have soluble. So take a look. Remember that you have to take a look with the last element that you have. We have carbon again here, insoluble. At chlorine. Okay, lead and chlorine. So it is a insoluble. We have also potassium and nitrate. We have what? Soluble. So these are the examples. Examples on how can you tell if the compound is soluble and insoluble. Just always remember that you can find it if you know the rules, like this one. Okay? So from sodium nitrates, we have soluble also kasi sodium nitrates itself is soluble. Okay? We have sodium carbon dioxide, soluble again. Okay. Okay. Now, then we also have magnesium oxides, oxygen, magnesium and oxygen. We have insolubles. Yes. All oxides are insoluble. Tama daw? Except group 1A. Yan. So, we have also here nitrates again. So, it is soluble. Then lead and bromide, insoluble. Kasi dito makita natin siya sa rules ng insoluble. And we also have phosphate. Again, since this in this part we have phosphate insoluble. So again, we have here a phosphate, right? So it is insoluble. And we also have here a barium sulfur. Okay, sulfate, sorry. So it is insoluble again. And the another sulfides, okay, to be exact, it is soluble. So, oh, yan. It is soluble. So you can tell that a certain compound and a certain element is insoluble and soluble by looking at its rules. So always remember, always look at this rules, ha. Laging tingnan what are those elements or compounds that is insoluble and soluble. So that's it. That is the last topic for general chemistry. So I hope you've already understand what are those? You've already understand what are those that we've been discussed. So thank you very much and have a nice day.